I'm wearing a Harry Potter shirt. Yes, I know you're jealous. You don't have to tell me. Hello everybody, welcome to my TED Talk. Thank you so much for coming today. Today, I'm going to be telling you 4 things you need to please stop saying to people in higher education. This is not a video, this is a
PSA.
These are things that drive me
Bananas.
and I'm only in my undergraduate, okay? I'm not even being directly affected by this right now. And please, I really hope you take these things into consideration for your real life. For those of you who don't know who I am, my name is Natasha LaGrega. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with me today. With that super optimistic introduction over with, let's get into the video. Number 1, and this is arguably the thing that drives me the most crazy on this list, it is when people say to someone, "Oh, so you're not a real doctor."
They ask you how you are, you just have to say that you're fine when you're not really fine, but you just...
If you're gonna say this to someone, you should just go home. If you say this to anybody past watching this video, please know that we will never be friends. We will never hang out because this drives me so crazy. This is such a horrible thing to say to someone. So let me unpack this a little bit for all of you in case you don't seem to know what I'm talking about, or maybe you don't really understand why that's a bad thing to say. Society seems to have this perception that a real doctor is just a medical doctor, an MD, because when you go to the doctor's office, I mean, we literally call it a doctor's office. You get seen by somebody who you call a doctor and they take care of your health. And for the average person, that's really the only doctor they ever interact with. A lot of society does not seem to understand that the word doctor is not just for people who have MDs. A doctorate degree is any upper level degree in which somebody is an expert in something. You could be a doctorate in anthropology. You could be a doctorate in English, in medicine, in dentistry, in biology, chemistry, like literally any field you could get a doctorate degree in. It literally just means that you're an expert at something, like you're the highest level of education in that field. Anybody who has earned a doctorate degree deserves to be called a doctor because that is so hard to do. Whether it's an MD or a PhD, that is incredibly difficult. And if you get through a doctorate program, literally any doctorate program, you deserve to be called a doctor. Now, from my personal experience, I feel like the people that I hear this being said the most to are PhDs, and my theory behind this is because with like a dentist or somebody, most people interact with those people on a daily basis. Like, it's not that weird of a thought to somebody to have like a doctor in dentistry or like an eye doctor. Like, that's not a super weird thought to people because a lot of people go and see these practitioners. But a lot of people don't know PhDs, and so if they hear of like a doctor of anthropology, they're like,
What is that? That's so weird.
and so, at least from my personal experience, I've usually heard this, "Oh, so you're not a real doctor," being said the most to people with PhDs. Here's the thing. PhDs are incredibly intelligent people. They revolutionize our world in their research. A medical doctor on his or her day-to-day will help so many patients. With research, you could help millions and millions of people, way more than a doctor could see in a single day. And now, given a lot of medical doctors do research as well, but PhDs focus their whole lives on research. So they are focusing their whole lives on bettering society for everyone. That helps the whole world at the same time. So please do not act like they are not important or intelligent or as good as that MD that you go see once a year. Also, just as another side note, I am the definition of somebody that society thinks will become a real doctor, right? I'm pre-med, I want to get an MD. That's what society seems to call a real doctor. The people who mentor me the most and help me in my education the most are all PhDs, okay? All of them. So instead of telling a PhD, "Oh, so you're not a real doctor," you should be like high-fiving them because they are mentoring the people who go and see you and check up on your health and literally hold your life in their hands, okay? So if PhDs are mentoring your real doctors, they deserve mad respect is all I'm saying, okay? Just because you don't understand somebody's occupation does not give you the right to judge them for it. All right. Number 2 for my TED Talk. This is not something people say a lot so much as a response people seem to give. And I would say that this mainly seems to happen to people in STEM, just from my personal experience. But for example, a lot of times when I'm talking to somebody I haven't met and they're like, oh, what are you studying? I'm like, oh, I am majoring in microbiology, minoring in psychology, and I'm on a pre-medicine track. People usually look at me like, what? It's like this kind of like freaked out, like weirded out response I feel like I get a lot from people, and then it's like they immediately shut down and think that they can't possibly talk to me. I know maybe it sounds like really impressive to say that you're studying all of these different things, but just because somebody is doing something that maybe you don't know anything about, or maybe it sounds like really impressive to you, it doesn't mean that they don't want to talk to you about it, or that you can't talk to them, or that it's not something you can understand, because it absolutely is. And a lot of times people that are in any kind of academia or studying anything usually spend a lot of their time making what they're learning understandable for somebody who's not learning it. Like a lot of graduate students who are getting their PhDs TA classes, so they literally, as a job, take hard information and make it easy to understand for anybody. It kind of bothers me when people give me this like freaked out face, because it's like, you know, I want to talk to you about it. Like, I want to talk to you and I want to have a meaningful conversation. Sorry if you see my cats running around. They're like being crazy kitties right now. Yeah, it's just kind of one of those things. It's like, I wish people didn't have this notion about it, because I would love to talk to you about it. Also, it happens a lot in research. Like I've said in the past, I work in a research lab, and I feel like when I tell somebody that and they're like, oh, what are you researching? And I'm like, well, I work in a neuroscience lab. It does like genetics and stuff like that. And my project is related to Alzheimer's and dementia and yada, yada, yada. People just look at me like, gotta leave now, bye. Like, literally, it's like they want to leave after I say that to them. Nobody asked me about my research. Like, this is crazy to me, okay? People who do research spend so much of their time making this understandable to anybody. So, I don't know, that one just kind of bugs me. I hate that response people give a lot. It's like, come on, like, we can have such a good conversation. Like, give me a chance, you know what I'm saying? So, just because somebody's doing something that's maybe not anything you've learned about doesn't mean that they can't sit there and explain it to you, and you guys can talk about it and have this like really cool friendship bonding learning moment. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Did my voice just get like really high all of a sudden? All right, number 3, you're too young to be a doctor. I think a lot of people, when they say this, they think it's like a compliment, like, oh, you're too young to be a doctor. I'm actually just going to directly read a tweet because I think it says it perfectly. All right, I got my laptop right here. This is a tweet by Jenny Hallwell. I'm so sorry if I mispronounced that. Dear world, saying to a youngish woman, you look too young to be a professor, is not the compliment you think it is. It's a reminder that the world, and sometimes my colleagues, don't think I fit in and takes my scholarship less seriously because of my gender and age. Yes. Last but not least, number 4. It drives me a little bit nutty when people say, you must be really smart. You know, this is another one that's like, I think this is supposed to be a compliment, but just think about how the person receiving this feels. Like, what am I supposed to say to that?
Like, no, I'm too dumb. I can't even wake up in the morning and tie my own shoes. Like, I can't walk straight. I'm so stupid. Like,
no. What am I supposed to say? Am I supposed to say,
yeah, obviously I'm like the smartest human alive. Like,
I don't know, it's just such a weird position to be put in. And I also just want to make something very clear. I feel like this is often said, again, to people in STEM, because STEM is looked at as this thing that's really unattainable, this like genius level kind of aspiration. And let me just shatter that for a minute here. I really do not believe you have to have any special intellectual abilities to do anything in STEM, truly. I think people in STEM work really hard. And honestly, my dad has said this to me several times throughout my life. He's like, Natasha, you're going to work really hard no matter what you do, so you might as well do something you care about. And for me, that was in a STEM field. But no matter what you're doing, if you're an actor, a waitress, you're gonna be working really hard. And people in STEM have just applied that work effort to things in STEM. You could do STEM if you wanted to. You don't need any special intellectual abilities. And certainly there are geniuses, but there are geniuses in every field, not just STEM fields. So, okay. My rant is over. Thank you all so much for joining me on today's latest TED Talk. I need to stop making that joke. It's probably gotten really old by now. Also, if you say to anyone, you're not a real doctor, I guarantee you're getting made fun of behind your back. Because that is the thing people say to graduate students, and they go back to their lab and we all laugh about it for like hours. And then we laugh about it years later. Like, you will consistently get made fun of for the rest of your life behind your back if you say that to someone. Do you really want to get made fun of for the rest of your life behind your back? All I'm saying, if you don't want to get made fun of, don't tell someone they're not a real doctor. Again, thank you guys so much for joining me today as I get some things off my chest, mostly because all of the stereotypes around higher education fields drive me a little nutty sometimes, because it's like, let's just be normal people, let's be kind people, let's be understanding people, and be open-minded, you know? And I feel like a lot of times when we say these things to others, it's rude, and it just shows a lot of ignorance. So, all right, thank you guys so much for watching. If you like this video, please give it a like, subscribe, comment down below, hit the notification bell. Thanks so much again for hanging out with me, guys, and I will see you next time. Bye.